And we are live. All right, Charlie, you're old hat at this now, so you know how it goes. Okay? I don't need to explain it. So here comes the intro. You're listening to the Grow Clinton podcast. Grow Clinton is a 501c6 nonprofit economic, community development, and tourism organization based in Clinton, Iowa. For more information, visit growclinton.com. Again, that's growclinton.com. Now, back to the show. What's happening, everybody? Thank you for coming back to another episode of the greatest podcast on the planet Earth. That's right, folks, the Grow Clinton podcast. Jeez, that's hard to say.
You got it.
You can tell it's Friday. Brought to you by Grow Clinton, a small nonprofit located on the eastern edge of the great state of Iowa, right along the mighty Mississippi River, where we have two bridges that cross the river. However, one is closed, and yesterday there was a multiple car accident, and my daughter waited for 45 minutes to try to get across the bridge, eventually abandoning her efforts and coming back home because she missed dance class over in Morrison.
No.
Yeah. So
Nobody was hurt, though, right?
I don't know the status. I just know that the young lady that I was traveling with me to a conference in Des Moines, she works in DeWitt but lives in Morrison. And she texted me like an hour and a half after I dropped her off in DeWitt and said she was still sitting there trying to get across. And evidently the traffic was backed up like all the way to Prince of Peace.
Oh, my God.
And it was quite the mess, quite the mess.
Head
But
to Sebula.
today is Friday.
Woohoo!
And you know, we love it. So,
Yep.
You know what I love too, Jenny?
What?
Well, I love me some high-speed fiber internet. That's right, folks. The Grow Clinton podcast is powered by Miles Communications, offering us wicked fast, high-speed fiber internet here at the Grow Clinton podcast studios. Check them out online at milestelephone.com. Milestelephone.com. You think I would get that by now?
That's okay.
Also, we
Okay.
have two additional sponsors now of the Grow Clinton podcast. I have to print out the exact verbiage they sent me for their little message for the podcast sponsorship. But Citizens First Bank, member FDIC, is a proud sponsor now of the Grow Clinton podcast, as well as AdCraft Printwear. You can check them out online for all of your printwear needs, custom everything pretty much.
I got
and
my
Jenny's
t-shirt
rocking
on.
the t-shirt right here. So we want to thank Dan Sullivan, the entire team over at AdCraft. Check them out, adcraftusa.com. And for Citizens First Bank, check them out at gocfb.bank. Again, that's gocfb.bank. Thank you to all those who continue to sponsor the Grow Clinton podcast. Without your financial support, this would not be possible. Great guest today, Jenny.
As always, right?
Yep.
As always.
Bringing them back, familiar face, leadership guru, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy that's behind the Leadership Unlocked series that's hosted by Grow Clinton in partnership with Charlie Minnick. Charlie's back to talk to us about leadership through service, which is the topic of the upcoming Leadership Unlocked segment that's happening on October 15th next week at 2 p.m. It is a free event. Charlie does a great job bringing in subject matter experts to talk about leadership and leadership development. If you'd like to participate in person, 721 South 2nd Street's our office location. However, if you'd rather participate via Microsoft Teams, you can do so by registering online. The link is within the show notes to this broadcast. And then you will receive a MS Teams link that allows you to tune in real time. So, Charlie, what are we talking about? Leadership through service. What does it mean?
Well, first of all, I could talk about this topic forever. So
Yeah.
I think it's about with service and how do you give back in meaningful ways? How do you make a positive difference in the lives of other people? I mean, I think that's what it's all about. So I think back to when we first started talking about this, like podcast, what can we do with the service thing? And when I came and talked with
Hold on. Nope, keep going.
Keep going.
Keep going, Charlie. I said it to Strobe. I don't know why. But
how cool is that?
I said it to Strobe.
Oh, we forgot we turned it into a disco format.
Go back to the 70s.
Oh, my
I don't
God.
think we want to do
No,
that.
thank
I don't
you.
even know how I did that. That was
But,
not cool. So those of you that didn't see, I accidentally hit my phone, which operates the light above our head, and it went to a strobe setting, which could induce a seizure. But we'll turn
Yeah,
that
well,
off.
I would start twitching.
It's
so
Friday.
how do you give back to other people? And I think how do you make a meaningful impact in the lives of other people? That's what service is really. Like I said, we talked about this a long time ago. It's probably a year and a half ago. when I came and talked with you and Matt, and I go, so my goal was to try to how do you give back to the community in some sort of meaningful way? So we talked about different ways, and then the podcast, that's the leadership series kind of gave birth to that was
Because that's your way of giving.
yeah. So I think you have to find meaningful ways to give back that are meaningful to you, mean something to you, plus can make a positive difference in the community and the world.
So, Charlie, I know we've talked about this before, but your background. Tell us about your background and the way that gives back, because it's impressive.
Yeah, well, I think part of it is, so if I think back to way back when 30 some years ago when I was thinner and my hair was darker. And,
Weren't we all?
yeah, back to those days. Because part of it is letting people know what you want to do and what your career goals are, so people can help you in the long run. Because I think part of leadership is helping other people get what they want.
Yep.
So I worked with my longtime friend Hope Gardino when I worked at Ambrose many, many years ago, and I told her, I go, you know what? I'd love to be able to teach.
Yeah.
So she gave me the opportunity 30 some odd years ago to teach a principles of marketing class.
Wow.
That's really how it started.
That's how it started.
So, but that's about, she helped me get what I wanted out of life. So that's being of service to other people, is how do you help other people get what they want? How do you support other people? And she gave me that, and then the rest of it's just history, I guess.
It could be a large gesture, like let's say as a company to a cause, but it can also be something that's smaller, individual kind of, not that was small, but an individual one-on-one type of
Yeah, there's
thing.
lots of ways. And that's why I think relationships are so important.
Right.
You have to do stuff that's meaningful to people. And if you don't know your people outside that name, rank, and serial number, it's really hard to do those meaningful things because you don't know what things mean to people. So so she knew I wanted to do that. So she afforded me the opportunity to do that. And it just really went from there. And then I moved into, did some professional development stuff for a few years down there, which is we went and did training and development for organizations. Then I get into a full-time teaching gig from there. Then I moved
Because she
into the
did
dean
that.
thing. All because she
she
gave
did
me a
that.
chance, and she believed in me and gave me a chance to do what I wanted to do.
That's great, Charlie.
Yeah, that's how it started.
So this one, again, we're talking to Charlie Minnick, who is the host of Leadership Unlocked in partnership with Grow Clinton. Again, the next one, October 15th at 2 p.m. right here at the Grow Clinton office, 721 South 2nd Street, or online through Microsoft Teams. This one is called Leadership Through Service. This is the 10th session, and it's going to present some panel discussion between two local community leaders. So tell us what we can expect regarding the panel.
Yeah, so we want to talk about, because I think a part of leadership is how do you make a positive difference in your community? And there's lots of ways to do that. People think, you have to break the bank or all that kind of stuff. It's meaningful, impactful ways. And I think when people do this kind of stuff, it's like, what do you want your legacy to be?
Yeah.
How do you want to be remembered? At the end of the day, we're all going to get to the end of the road. It's like, people probably won't go, you know what? I wish I worked harder. I wish I worked more hours.
Yeah.
Probably not.
I wish I spent less time with my family.
Yeah,
Right.
maybe that sort of thing about what's your legacy? How do you want to be remembered? And I think that's what our panelists will talk about is how do they, first of all, how did they get that fire for service? How did they get it in their belly to do that kind of stuff?
And our panelists are going to be Pastor Ron Lott.
Oh, yeah.
So if you don't know Ron, longtime leader in our community, both from the religious perspective as serving as the head lead pastor for a local church, as well as the chaplain for the police and fire department here in Clinton. He's been around for a very long time, good friend of mine. I actually owe him a call because we need to do lunch here soon. But Ron is just a very approachable, calming individual. Like when you talk to him, if you're all revved up, he's got a great way about him.
Oh, yeah.
To settle you down, allow you to look at things from a different perspective. But his leadership throughout the community is undeniable. Him and his wife have retired and they're enjoying their life, but Ron continues to be active in the community. because that's just what he's about. That's him. That's Ron Lott. And then
Right.
the other one is Gabi Torres.
Yeah.
So Gabi, good friend of ours here at Grow Clinton, is the kind of director, runs the Paint It Back nonprofit. Most recently hosted an amazing festival out on the north end here in Clinton, the Lions Business District, repainting an old McElhaney service building from the dealership days and creating some stunning murals and great pieces of art for all to enjoy. But that's what she does. But philanthropically, she is incredibly involved in the community, from sitting on boards to committees. She sits on the Grow Clinton board of directors. She's actually our incoming chair for 26-27 fiscal year. And she'll be joining the panel alongside Ron to talk about the importance of community involvement and leadership through service.
I like how they have such maybe different lives, but they picked, like Charlie was saying, what you're passionate about, what gives you a fire to do something, and they identified it and went with that. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, I think what you find about service over the years is you get as much out of it as the people who received the service. I think back to, our Ashford campus days. One of probably the coolest things that we developed and that I'm probably most proud of was all the service projects that we did.
A lot.
We went to, one of the first ones we did was we took a group of students many years ago to help with Hurricane Sandy cleanup.
Oh, wow.
It was really impactful. And people were like, they couldn't believe we rode 16 hours on a bus on spring break to come out and help them. Like, why would you, it's just the right thing to do when you have this spirit of service. And that was, one of the most impactful probably things I've ever been involved with was myself and, some of our staff people and 21 students.
Yeah, very cool.
There. It was about, and really at the end of the day, so you'd go do your stuff throughout the day. At the end of the day, reflect back, talk about, they would call it roses and thorns. What's the positive thing? But then one thing, and so often the thorn kind of fed into the rose. It was the saddest thing was like how quick life can change and how people are devastated. But then the rose part is how you can try to help people who've gone through this really difficult thing. And it became very emotional when people would talk about those type of things. And there was more than a few tears shed as people would reflect back on the service. And again, they got as much out of it as the people who you helped.
Right. And there's no shortage of that
either. It was just
either.
really impactful. What's cool for me then is to see, after all these years, how these students at the time still have this spirit of service.
Oh, just
And
think
they've
about
carried it on.
Yeah.
They realize the importance of it. And we've done just so many things. We went to, in Washington, Illinois, they had that tornado several years back. And so we went down there like 2 days afterwards. And it was just devastation. It was just, oh my goodness. It was just trying to help people. And part of it was just talking to people and, people's lives were just gone. Houses, all that's left was just the foundation.
Wow.
And you'd go, people were like, this house has been been in my family for generations. And you would just talk to people. Well, tell me about your house. Tell me what try to talk about those memory things. And it was just really impactful, all those type of things. But I think you get more out of it.
Oh,
The
absolutely.
people you tried to help, you get just as much, if not more, out of it.
Well, just think if you committed yourself to a business
Yeah.
for, let's say, 30 years and you hang up your hat, you retire, what do people remember you by?
Right.
Sure, showing up to work, doing a good job. But at the end of the day, when people actually reflect on who you were as an individual, they remember your service commitment, your dedication to the community. We feel it here. Often we have people who are so ingrained in the community, very philanthropic, great service members, love to volunteer, and then they retire and leave, and that void is felt.
Oh, sure.
When they do leave the area. But then it's all about leading by example too. This title for this next session here, session 10 on October 15th, is Leadership Through Service, but really it's leading by example. Yeah. If you're leading a nonprofit or a for-profit or a committee or a board, if you want people to step up, roll up their sleeves and do some hard work to make the community a better place, you have to do it yourself.
Yep.
Because people are going to follow your lead. They're not going to sit back and wait to be told. And the worst case scenario is when you tell them they have to do something, you have to go and volunteer for these service hours. Okay, what are you doing? Well, I'm not doing it because I'm the boss. Or
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
in
delegating.
charge. No, that's not how this works. Definitely leading through service and leading by example is paramount. So how's this going to go, Charlie, with the panel discussion? Do you have questions you're going to be asking
Yeah,
them?
so I have some questions. I work with Matt. We kind of developed some questions. I just want to find out kind of, what got them to this point. What's it, what's their motivation for doing these type of things? Because, we all have plenty to do in our world, in our life. So how do you benefit from it? What's in it for you? I think as people, I want to know, why do people do this? And you're right. How do people want to be remembered? But I think we just want to find out what's their motivation to keep going, to keep doing these things over and over and over. Why they stay involved?
Well, the cool thing between Ron,
he's retired. Well, why do you
yeah.
continue to, if you're retired?
Right.
Why do you keep continue to give back? Why?
Well, it's addicting, I think.
Yeah, it is. I think it's and it's just, again, it's about how do you want to be remembered? You talk about legacy. That's really what I think it's about. And I think leaders. I look at my responsibility is to develop other leaders. That's part of the challenge, I think. And you've seen it with like groups committee. It's the same people over and over and over and over. Well, I think we have to. How do we engage the younger people to become involved, engaged, as some of us who've been around a long time?
I really like how they are able to, speaking of Ron and Gabi, but our community leaders who do get involved and do show through service that they care about our community, how they're able to turn maybe a negative opinion or a negative, thing in our community towards something that's positive, and they're a positive presence. That's so important in our community.
And I think a couple points. I think part of it is how do you deal with, for a panel question, how do you keep going when there's so much? How do you fight that negative sort of thing?
Yeah, it's not easy.
How do you keep going? How do you keep when there's so much people? It's easy to sit on the porch and complain.
Right. So
I always tell people it's easy to complain from the upper deck.
Right.
Oh yeah.
That's easy. But how do they stay involved and engaged when the negative Nellies and gloomy Gus's of the world try to rain on your parade? How do you filter that out?
Yeah.
And keep moving?
That is what you have to do. You have to filter it out, and you have to be persistent and ignore it, because, and Gabi and Ron, I don't know was Gabi born and raised in Clinton?
I think she was raised in Clinton. I don't know about born here.
But, one of the things I like about Gabi and Ron was from Chicago originally.
Yeah.
So, but she left for quite a while. So I consider her kind of a transplant back in her own hometown.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they're not from the area, or at least left for a while. They're coming back with a desire and a passion to improve a community they've grown to love. And the same applies kind of in my situation. I was born in Reading, Pennsylvania. I moved here in 2012 after I left the service. But what was important to me, because that was something that was very important in the service, was community involvement.
Yes.
And I came here just looking for ways to get involved. But I will say, in StrengthsFinder, as a Gallup certified strengths coach, we talk about strengths and use the terms balconies and basements. Balconies are when everything's awesome.
Yeah.
You're leveraging your talents and your strengths, smooth sailing. The basement is how your talents, if used in the wrong way, can be perceived as negative. And one of the basements of being a service-focused leader is that often, once you demonstrate that you're willing to take on the hard work and volunteer your time, you are often overcommitting yourself and then volunteer to the point of burnout.
Right.
And that's what you got to avoid. You got to find that kind of middle ground, and you got to be willing to say a 2-letter word that starts with N and ends with O, and that's no. I mean, if you take everything on that everybody's going to ask you to do, because if you're that service-oriented, community-focused leader, you're going to get asked to join boards and committees and help with street cleanups and do all these things. And because of your deep-rooted desire to make a positive change, you start saying yes to everything. Yeah. But then it's, you fly a little too close to the sun and those wax wings start to melt. Next thing you know, you're burnt out and you got to recover. So you got to take care of yourself first, but it's definitely worth the investment of time.
Yeah, it's all about balance. Yeah, you have to balance all. I mean, there's only 168 hours in a week.
Right.
How do you balance all this stuff? And I think to your point, Andy, I think I've got to a point where there's, because I was involved in all this stuff. So I've really narrowed it down to two things that I try to spend my time on. It's one thing is, how do you try to get back to the community in a meaningful way that's helpful and supportive of where people want to go? And the second one is stuff that has to do with kids.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really where I
future.
spend my time.
Well, it's like picking a personal mission.
Right.
Yeah.
And then looking at everything you do and comparing it to that mission, and does it help you meet that mission or those goals? And if the answer is no, then you need to put a lot of thought into whether that's a good investment of your time. I mean, we were just in a conference in Indianola, Iowa, beautiful community, by the way, very popular hot air balloon destination,
Yes.
Indianola. But one of the things they were talking about, and it was a conference focused on leadership within a chamber of commerce. And they said, look at what you're doing, compare it to your mission or your core values, and really sit back as a staff and reflect on the benefits of those events that you're hosting, those programs you're creating, and if they truly help to meet your mission. Because if they don't, then you have to eliminate them, because it becomes just a suck on the amount of manpower you have, the time, and for us being a nonprofit organization that leverages a lot of volunteers, those people that are willing to give us their time, we have to take full advantage of it, but we also have to be considerate. And if we're asking them to do things that are not in line with our mission, then shame on us.
Right.
Yeah. So I think he's talking about mission. I think everybody should have a personal mission statement.
That's a good plan.
So, and mine is really quite simply this: is to make a positive difference in the personal and professional lives of other people. Doesn't have to be long, have to be worded. It just has to be meaningful. So I try to get to what do I do on a daily basis that tries to support that mission statement.
So how do you keep yourself motivated, Charlie?
I find out I have to, first of all, I surround myself with people who are positive energy people. I mean, we have to, sometimes those people in our day, but I make a conscious effort to stay around positive, upbeat people.
Sure.
I just make that choice, and I try to remember what things matter to me. And I know there's some things in life you just can't control.
Right. So you're saying that if, when it does, you find yourself, losing your mission, you just go back to the center and ask yourself if that's a great idea to have a personal
That's
mission.
what I do. It's just something that's worth, I get to a point in my life, it's about how much emotional and psychological energy do I want to put into something?
It's true.
Is this the hill I want to die on? And if it's not, that's but I try to, I've got to a point, I don't try to control the uncontrollable, because there's some things in life you just can't control.
Right.
And that's, is what it is. So I'm trying to put my energy and efforts into things where I can try to make the world a little better place.
What is your answer to the people who are so negative?
I ask them why. I mean, I don't know if like that young lady was in my class years ago, and she was just always upset. And I asked her, I go, is it me that you're upset at the class? Or are you just always this way?
Yeah, that's a
And
that's
I go,
a fair
I ask
question.
her, I ask you this not to be mean or rude,
But it's your professional feedback.
but
Right.
that negative sort of aura that you're putting out is going to prevent you from being successful as you should be in life.
Yeah.
I always think that a lot of time people who are negative or make negative remarks, I think they believe, maybe I'm wrong, that it makes them look smart or discerning or something. And I think it's the opposite. If you can turn something that's positive, into a positive, or make it work, or try to cheerlead for it, I think that's smarter.
What I always do is just flip the script. If somebody's negative, for instance, there was a comment thread that was going on Facebook not too long ago.
Right.
And my name was mentioned in the comment thread, and it was not a good comment. And I basically, I don't get involved in that stuff because it's a lose-lose. You're never going to win, right? But my question would be, if you don't like the decision that I made as a community leader, then what would you have done in my place?
Yeah.
And then if they say, well, I'm not you, well, I'll say, no, this is hypothetical. What would you have done? What would you suggest? And then you see them start to stutter over their words because they don't know. They've never put deep thought into an alternative that would be more beneficial. And they don't understand all the powers at play. They don't understand the things that impact that decision. But it's easy to get on social media and just blast somebody and you get a whole bunch of likes on your comment, but you have no idea regarding the context of that decision or how it was even made. You know, I love technology, and Charlie made a comment about a personal mission statement. So I just did a simple Google search for a personal mission statement generator to see how AI could help you create a personal mission statement, and came up with 3 different tools. One is Quillbot, Quill bot, Grammarly, which I'm a huge fan of, and Franklin Covey's organization actually has a mission statement generator where you can just go in, put in some of the details about your personal life, like your core values, your passions, your ambitions, and then you can allow the tool to kind of refine or adjust the tone and then ultimately generate the statement, and then you just revise it as necessary. It comes to you in a Word document, and you can just print that bad boy out, laminate it, and you have yourself a personal mission statement.
I love that because, you know, anytime anybody puts you on the spot and says, well, what, you know, or if you're just sitting there thinking, what would be my personal mission statement? And you just draw a blank, like, you know, but if you get prompt like that, you know, like you said, you can tailor it to yourself. That's great.
Yeah. You know, here at Grow Clinton, one of the things we have is core values. And we discussed this, the conference I was at is, you know, printing out those core values and making sure that they are visible to not only the staff, but the people that visit our office. Now we have our mission statement plastered all over the place. Right. However, our core values are just stuck within our strategic plan, which, you know, very few people ever acknowledge or see. So one of our core values that I'm very proud of is positivity always. Always. And that's something when we merged, I was laser focused on this is going to be a positive organization. Now we understand that not everything, it's not a Pollyanna approach. Not everything's just rainbow, sunshine, and shooting stars, but we are not going to be an organization where we like disperse or distribute criticism or negativity without coming up with some kind of solution. Right. And that's something I feel like we've stuck to in the last 3+ years we've been an organization. So
definitely.
And I really love that. And that's what we got to start looking at is our core values and understanding what everything that we do, does it meet our mission? Does it fall within the core values? And that's how we're going to generate our strategic plan moving forward. So again, if you're looking for a personal mission statement generator, you can go to MSB, that's mission statement generator or something like that. I don't know what it is, but msb.franklincovey.com/personal. And it's a slick little tool there, Charlie.
Yeah. But I think you have to have that. What drives what you do? What's your passion? And don't let the negative Nellies and gloomy Gus's of the world deter you from that. You know, I just don't. I mean, I probably used to when I was a little younger, but now I'm like, you know what? I know who I am. I know what matters to me, and what I do and spend my time has to drives from that. Yeah. If it doesn't, I probably shouldn't do it.
We talked before Andy got here today, and we were talking about what a relief it is to get to be a certain age where you just know who you are. That's so hard when you're younger.
It's hard, yeah. Yeah. You try to please everybody.
Right. And that's what drives your mission.
That's a lose-lose. And right. I think another thing, I don't compare myself to other people. No. I think that's another defeatist sort of approach.
You can't
I just don't do that.
Right.
How do I try my goal? How can I be a 1% better Charlie today than I was yesterday?
Very cool.
How can I do that?
Yeah.
1% better Charlie.
This person, that person, that's them. But so how can I be a 1% better me today than I was yesterday?
Oh, what you do, the way you present yourself, the way you engage others, the way you treat other people, all is part of your personal brand as well.
Right.
I mean, we were discussing that at the conference, that no matter what I do, Grow Clinton is always going to be attached to my personal brand.
Right.
Because as a leader of an organization, as a leader of a company, doesn't matter for-profit, nonprofit, who you are as an individual, when you sit in that top seat within the organization, your personal brand, the way you conduct yourself matters. Mm. You know, the average person makes a first impression in about 7 seconds. Mm-hmm. So when you walk into a room, they lock eyes with you. They got about 7 seconds. They're going to make it a first impression or a determination of who you are as an individual. whether that's the way you dress, whether that's the way you came into the room. That's why often when I enter a room, I give a little hoot and holler or high fives and stuff, because it sets the tone.
Right.
And the other lady that spoke was talking about your personal energy, and she kept using the colors, red, yellow, green. So red means your energy level's on an all-time low. You've had a crappy day. You got up in the morning, you spilled your coffee, the dog crapped on the floor, whatever.
Right.
And then yellow means you're sort of getting towards green, but you're still feeling in that funk. And green means you're kind of firing on all cylinders. You're in a good mood. You've been very productive. But it doesn't take much for you to go from green to yellow. It just takes somebody coming into your office and giving you a problem with no solution or negative feedback that could have been unjustified. And it doesn't take much. So you always got to watch your personal and your individual aura or energy and how that impacts the lives of others. And we've all been there. We've been in meetings where we're all fine, right?
Right.
Having a good time, and somebody walks in and slams their pen, slams their notepad down. They've had a crappy day, and all of a sudden what happens to the kind of energy of the entire group? It's sucked out, instantly. So
Charlie, what's your advice when you're in a group? Let's say you're the panelist and I say to you, I'm in a group of people, I'm leading them, and the negativity comes out and the upset comes out, or something unproductive happens. How do you round them back up? How do you get them back at the center?
Well, first of all, I'll acknowledge, I feel a little, people are upset, something's going on here. So let's talk about where that's coming from. I just don't think you can blow it off,
right,
or try to cover it up. So
No.
I'll try to talk about, what's going on. I notice, especially if the group normally has great energy and then something's gone, well, that's a symptom of something. So that's not really the problem. That's a symptom of the problem. So what's going on? I go, hey, I noticed kind of a different sort of energy today. What's going on? Is there something happening? Can we talk about, that type of thing? I just try to get it out and talk about it a little bit as best we can. And if not, if people don't want to, we can kind of table it and talk about it, at a different time. But I try to get it just what's going on. And so part of it is, and that's why I start a lot of meetings with, talk about one good thing that happened to you since we last met. Let's try to put a positive
set the tone,
spin on, just that type of thing. And not, you're right, not that life's rainbows and sunshine and unicorns, because it's not. But
No.
I think people have to know, if people are down, people need to know that you care about them. Hey, you kind of seem upset. Normally you're not that way. Is there something going on? Can I help? I'm here to help. Whatever that looks like.
So
Sometimes that
communication.
little personal outreach
Yeah.
can make a lot of difference. That people, because we've seen a little bit of grace in life. We have no idea what people are going
Right.
through. There's a lot of stuff.
Yep. You
in
have
our
no
world.
idea.
So
And
give a little grace to people, a little understanding to people, a little kindness goes a long way sometimes.
yeah,
I
we had
think.
a
So,
great community leader, and the guy by the name of Jay Beyer, who was a long time, I think 11 years, maybe a little bit more than that. He led the Des Moines Partnership, which is a large economic development, community development chamber organization in Des Moines. And then he left to become the president of Simpson College, and just a very jovial, outgoing, like leading through service type individual, always volunteering, always smiling, always rocking a bow tie. And then back in April of this year, he ended up committing suicide. And that was a huge blow to the community, because nobody
Nobody saw
absolutely nobody saw it. He wore that suit of armor, and you could not see past whatever it is he wanted to disguise. And I don't know all the details, and it's none of my business, but it's just back to what you said, is you never know what somebody's going
Right.
through. And here's somebody who has seemingly been very successful in every single leadership position they've ever had. And nobody ever thought, that's why it was so devastating when he took his own life. Nobody ever thought that he would do something like that. And most people ultimately felt guilty for not being able to pick up on the signs, but he did a great job of hiding them. So
sometimes just that small outreach we used to do when we took service trips. We would always go. We did lots of stuff. We would go and we visited like homeless shelters, and we would go and hand out lunches to homeless people in Chicago. I mean, it was really impactful stuff. So we would go, and every time we went on a service trip, so I have they're like these little gold angel coins.
Yeah.
So we'd give every person that would get like 2 or 3 of them. I go, when you go out and meet people, give someone this coin to let them know that somebody cares about them. And if you're having a tough time, maybe it'll give them a source of strength
Right.
or inspiration and hope or whatever it might be.
That's a great idea, Charlie.
Yeah, we did that. And my son, Tyler, went with us one time. And he had given out this coin. So he had this little cross on it. So he gave this person his cross that he had instead to go. If you need, let you know that somebody cares about you and that all is not lost, and there's people that think about you and care about you. Some of that kind of stuff. That's really
a leadership.
that's really impactful
initiative.
stuff to let people know that
Right.
that you care about them, and maybe this is a little reminder to help you that what somebody does care about you.
And that's a perfect example of what you were saying earlier about it. It can be a big group thing, and it can also just be in small individual leadership of yourself to do something that's good for the community. And who knows, maybe that, really lifted the person's spirit, probably still remember it to the day.
Yeah. Well, especially in today's economy and I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
Well, I'm just saying there's a lot of things that people were very accustomed to receiving in the form of benefits or service through organizations that meant more to them than they could ever explain, because it was the only thing they had to do. It was the only peace of mind they ever were able to receive. It's the only meal they were able to get that day.
Yeah.
And a lot of those things are just going away. So it is what it is, but stay positive, folks.
That's
Good
it.
things
Stay
are on the
positive.
horizon.
And that's the time to step up too. I
Yep.
mean, that's your volunteer, opportunity. And you say you give back to the community, and like Andy said, you don't have to burn yourself out. You can give back. You don't have to give it all back. But it's good to just reach out in a way that is right for you.
Yeah, people often just need a hand up, not a hand out.
Right.
Yep. That's a great way to close it,
That's what
Charlie.
people need lots of times.
Right.
Hand up, not a hand down. Hear more from Charlie Minnick coming up on our 10th session of the 12 session series, Leadership Unlocked, by Charlie, who's kind of serving as the host for the event in partnership with Grow Clinton. Session 10 is titled Leadership Through Service, happening October 15th at 2 p.m. right here at the Grow Clinton office, 721 South 2nd Street. Registration is necessary. However, the series is free to attend, no cost, but I included a link within the show notes to go and register via the Grow Clinton website. That ensures you get a seat at the table. If you want to participate virtually, when you register for the event, you will receive in return a link to Microsoft Teams, so you can do so, be part of the conversation right there via the World Wide Web. You can also check out the event on Facebook. Just go to the Grow Clinton Facebook page and then search events, and it is titled Leadership Unlocked, Leadership Through Service, again happening October 15th. Thank you so much, Charlie, for
Always
being
a
on
pleasure.
the podcast. Jenny,
Yes.
today's Friday.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah, it seems like a long week.
It was a long week, and you were gone some of it.
That trip out to Des Moines, and back, it kills me.
It
I don't know
does.
why. It's just so, it's a nice trip. I like going out there, but then you just come on, you hit 80, you don't exit until you hit the 61 exit
Yeah.
towards DeWitt, and it's just mind-numbingly boring
It is,
sometimes.
it is.
It's the same thing.
It wipes me out.
Right.
It wipes me out.
It's
so.
a beautiful scenery, but we do it a lot. And it's not like you can just relax, because 80 is wild.
It is
But,
wild.
you got to stay on task. So by the time you get home, you're wiped out.
Yeah, wiped out. But it
Stop
was
at Williamsburg, do a little shopping or something.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh,
Well,
I hate
yes.
shopping.
Yeah, I don't mind. I swing there through the outlets every once in a while, see what I can find. But
I'm
not
a money hoarder.
I'm not a big shopper. So again, I want to thank you for listening to the Grow Clinton podcast. Be sure to check us out and subscribe so you receive notifications for every new episode. We are on iTunes. You can check us out in the Apple Store, whatever podcast device you listen through, Google Play, whatever that is. I listen through Buzzsprout, Buzz, Sprout, Sprout. Just be sure to subscribe and check us out, because we've got a lot of cool things coming up. Later this month, we'll be interviewing the director of the Iowa Economic Development Authority and Iowa Finance Authority, Debbie Durham.
I think that's going to be in December.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
December?
because I think she wants to come and do it in person.
Okay.
So she's going to
We'll
be in the
figure that
area.
date out.
Yeah,
but
don't
Debbie's
worry,
a
we'll
great
get it.
person. And, January 27th is her last day of service. She is appointed by Governor Reynolds.
Oh, boy.
And she, could have the opportunity to move forward, but she's ready. So she will be retiring. But those are going to be some, even though Debbie has small feet,
Yeah.
those will be some big shoes to fill. She's been an excellent leader throughout the duration of her term serving as the director of that department, both departments. And I'm very anxious to see who will come in and replace her, because
It'll be felt, that's for
I'm
sure.
sad to see her go. But yep. So be sure to subscribe to the podcast. Again, I want to thank Miles Communications, milestelephone.com, Citizens First Bank, member FDIC, go CFB.bank for all your personal and commercial banking needs, and adcraftusa.com. Again, that's Adcraft Printwear. For anything that you need customized, from hoodies to tees to hats, anything you can really think of, they'll customize it for you. They don't do it in-house. They'll find somebody that can. ABKA.
Right.
If you know, folks. My name's Andy Sokolovich. This has been another episode of the Grow Clinton Podcast. Until I talk to you soon, stay classy. See ya. Thank you for listening to the Grow Clinton Podcast. Be sure to subscribe. Follow us on all your socials. Until next time, see ya.